Hey guys, welcome to this video on how to add data to our Google Sheet using Next.js server actions and the Google Apps Script. Alright, so here's a summary of how this tutorial will be structured. So it's going to be made up of 4 videos. The first video, which is this one, is the demo of the final result plus the project setup. The second video is on preparing our form and server action logic. Third video is about setting up Google Apps Script and getting the endpoint URL. And finally, we'll test our app by submitting our form and having our data display in the Google Sheet. Alright, so here's what we're going to be building here. So essentially, I have a form here for a fictional pottery workshop. And our goal here is to submit the form and then have the data display inside our Google Sheet. Okay, so as you can see, currently the Google Sheet is empty. So let's test it out. I'm going to say John Watson, some 5s for the phone number. And then we're going to choose 2 spots. Okay, so let's click register, and you can see we have a success message. And if we look in our spreadsheet, we have all the data here. Okay, so first of all, we have 6 columns. The date column with the date and time of registration, the name of our event, the name of the person who registered, phone number, email, and the number of spots. Alright, so that's what we're going to be building in this tutorial, and let's get started. So just a couple of things we're going to need before we start coding. First of all, we will be using server actions for our functionality. So make sure you have at least Next.js 14 because that's the version when they became stable. If you're using an earlier version of Next.js, you will have to set up your config file like it says here. Okay, so next thing, of course, we will be needing Node. So if you have Next.js, you should also have Node.js installed. We will be dealing with Google Sheets, so I'm assuming you already have your Google Drive, and then we'll be creating a Google Sheet in here where we'll be posting our data. And finally, all the code you see here will be available in my GitHub. I will be leaving a link to my GitHub in the video description, so feel free to go there and check out any branch you like by clicking this drop-down menu. So let's get started with the lesson 1 code. So we can click here and you can either download the zip to get the code, or you can also clone the repo. So I'm going to go ahead and actually copy this link so that I can clone our starter code. So I currently have an empty folder on my desktop. Let's open it in VS Code. Okay, and now we're just gonna go ahead and clone the starter code. So I'm gonna say git clone and then paste the URL and then a little dot at the end to make sure it clones it inside our current directory. Great, and now let's just run npm install. Okay, so the installation is done, and now I'm just going to run our dev server. So npm run dev just to see what we have. Alright, so this is basically our starter code. Now I did feel a little creative, so that's why I kind of, you could say, maybe over-engineered this page a little, but I just wanted it to look nice. So this is a page for basically a fictional pottery workshop, and we're trying just to gather some information from people who would like to participate in the workshop. Okay, so we're only collecting their name, like full name, phone number, email, and then how many spots they would like to book for the workshop. And then once they click register, we will be getting their information inside our Google Sheet. Okay, so let's take a look at the code and see what we have. So first of all, if we look at the package.json, we will see that I have version 15 of Next.js. I'm also using Daisy UI, which is a Tailwind-based library that just helps out with styling. So now let's take a look at our code here inside the app folder. I have cleared out a lot of the boilerplate code. Let's start with the layout. So I have left the default fonts here because fonts aren't all that important. I updated the metadata just so it looks nice, and everything else is pretty much the default. Inside our page.jsx, I also cleared out all the default content here, and I just have a main tag with a little bit of styling, including the background image that you saw here. Okay, and one component inside the main tag, which is our registration form. So let's take a look at our registration form, which is inside the components folder. So this is a use client component. I have some states that I've defined here that we'll be using a little bit later, but basically there's 3 of them. So we have is pending state when we're submitting the form, submit success, which is when we have successfully posted our data to the Google Sheet, and submit error is when something went wrong with this. Inside our JSX, we're conditionally displaying one of 3 different things. So it's either going to be our form, which is what's currently displaying. If there is some kind of error in our attempt to submit data to our Google Sheet, we will see this error div with the error message. And if everything worked well, then we will see this success div with the success message. All right, so we will be seeing how all of this works shortly. Let's see, we also have our actions.js file that I created, and inside here we just have a use server directive at the top, and we just have an empty function called add registration. Okay, so that's basically our starting point, and in the next video we're going to start putting some code here.